Hello. So this, as you might know, is the last and the third and the last Zoom of our second cycle. And the first cycle was kind of, different topics chosen like at the spur of the moment. While this second cycle has been all about our relationship with that control system that we carry inside, which we call the inner judge or the superego or the barking dog or the inner critic or the talking cricket or whatever names you want to give it to, you know. Now, this is something that all of humanity shares. So every culture, every nation, and every age has some sort of control system intrinsic to their personality and their functioning. So the question of control, even though we often believe that we are the only one that are so stuck into trying to control things, well, you can relax because you are not the only one. You might be particularly skilled about controlling, but everybody has some sort of control system. And that's the reason is very simple, is because, the whole of society functions through control. And functions through control that manifest in many different ways. One of the most fundamental ways is the laws that are, financial laws, penal laws, any kind of law that is part of a society is created to control not only the society itself, but each individual within the society. So when we talk about inner judge and superego, we are not just talking about a personal phenomena. Of course, we each one of us have one, and we have a more or less developed, evolved relationship with it. But basically, there is a national inner judge, there is a cultural inner judge, there is a religious inner judge. There are many different forms outside of our own psyche that manifest as a structure of control and punishment or reward. So depending how you behave, you can be rewarded or you can be punished. So when we look into the question of freedom, we are not just talking about my personal individual freedom. We are talking about what does it mean to be free within myself, but also outside of myself in relation to the world I live in. So it's a big piece, it's a huge piece. And, one of the things that really touched me is, and not only touched me, but somehow kind of moved a lot inside of me and redefined a lot of my experience, my understanding, is when I heard Osho saying that the question of freedom is even more fundamental than the question of truth. So think about it for a moment, The question of freedom is even more fundamental than the question of truth. Because what do we do with truth if we are not free? So truth without the fundamental ground of freedom is toothless, does not have enough power. And you can see in the life of the masters how fundamental is the capacity to embody truth through the foundation of freedom at any cost. For some master, that means dying. For some master, that means going to jail. For some master means to have to close themselves within a particular environment that could protect them, like ashrams or other sort of communities. For other masters, it meant to travel from one country to the other country. For other masters, meant to live in the streets like a bum. So freedom is a fundamental, the most fundamental question that I can ask myself. How much do I really want to be free? Which basically means how much do I really want to be myself at any cost? Because if I experience, as we often experience, the truth about ourselves moment after moment after moment, if we don't give ourselves the tools and the willingness to embody this truth and taking risks, you know, and face also the consequences, yeah, okay, we know the truth of who we are, but then what? Is that all? And I know that you understand what I'm talking about, because every seeker that is sincere, sooner or later finds that one thing is to have experiences of spiritual understanding, of higher states of consciousness, even ecstatic moments. And another thing is to actually embody these moments in our day-to-day life. I mean, in these days on this planet, we can see very clearly, very clearly that there is a fundamental conflict between reducing every human being to an obedient puppet or being free and facing the consequences. Now, the consequences are not necessarily bad. Okay, we might have to go through some sort of friction, strife, conflicts. But what we can find is that nobody can take away our freedom. There is no way that anyone can actually take away something which is our true nature. So that's point number one. We are already free. We are born free. Even when we enclose ourselves within limitations and boundaries. The question is what we do with it. What we do with this limitation and these boundaries. We believe that they actually are real, and they are an excuse to keep ourselves small and constricted and limited, or we keep challenging them, pushing against them, throwing down some of them, making them more familiar. So working with the inner judge does not have anything to do with the inner judge. It has to do with freedom and beauty. So this is what is all about, freedom and beauty. Because everything and everybody who is not free is bound to be ugly, is bound to feel ugly, is bound to share some sort of ugliness, which is the shadow of a lie. That I cannot be myself. I don't deserve to be who I am. I'm not here to completely and fully embody this immensity that I am, that we are, that you are. So if you really want to put some words in front of you to help you light your path, to help you, support you, put freedom and beauty. Freedom and beauty. Freedom and beauty. These are the fundamental lights. And you can recognize very clearly that wherever there is control, wherever there is constriction, wherever there is the inner judge, there is no beauty. There is guilt. There is shame. There is feeling small. There is feeling wrong. There is feeling not enough. How can that be beautiful? And at the same time, you can recognize also the opposite, that every time that you were, even for a short moment or for a long period of time, you were actually really yourself, immediately there was freedom and beauty. You didn't have to do anything special. You just had to be yourself. And the moment that you are connected with that original source, with that uniqueness that each one of us is, immediately there is beauty and freedom. And that's the miracle. The question of beauty and freedom arises only in personality. Personality is constantly trying to, I want to be free, I want beauty. Being does not have that, because being is beautiful and free. And you know your own experience that what I'm saying is also true for you, that you have or have had or recognized moments in your life where there is that synchronicity, that absolute presence of beauty and freedom. There is no guilt, there is no shame, there is no self-doubt, there is no competition, there is no need to prove anything to anybody. You just are who you are. Many years ago, when I started deepening my understanding of this need to work with the inner judge and with the control system in us, I didn't have this clarity. I had an intuition, and the intuition, it was very simple. If there is a control system, I cannot just bypass it. I cannot just pretend that it's not there. I cannot just work with it, maybe like if I go to church, 1 hour every week, and then feel absolved and innocent. It's not going to work. If I'm sick, like Osho was saying in a discourse, very beautiful, he was saying, well, if you meditate 1 hour a day, it's like saying, okay, I'm going to be sick for 23 hours, and then I'm going to be completely healthy for an hour, and then I'm going to be sick again. It's not possible. It doesn't work that way. But if you look at yourself with honesty and you start saying, okay, the only thing that I need to be doing is to really be present with myself, nothing else. I don't need to change anything in particular. I don't need to transform anything in particular. I just need to feel myself, look inside, and recognize in this moment, I'm free to be angry. In this moment, I'm free to be jealous. In this moment, I'm free to be stupid. In this moment, I'm free to be beautiful and brilliant. Freedom does not choose the content. We are free to be everything that we are, every moment. And you are the only one that you can give yourself that permission. And that permission is based on non-dividing yourself. I cannot be free but not angry. I cannot be free but not jealous or a coward or greedy. Freedom is all, includes everything. So if you want to be free, you just say, okay, in this moment, I am this. And I'm curious and I want to be intimate with who I am in this moment. So I want to know, okay, what is this that I'm feeling? How do I know that I am lost or confused or tired? Nobody can tell you because it's your experience. So it's just a question of getting completely, absolutely, totally fascinated with yourself, with your immensity, with your uniqueness, with the fact that each one of us is a unique manifestation of the divine. Then you are immediately free. There is no question of freedom and there is no question of beauty. You are free and beautiful right in this moment. So working with the inner judge is not about becoming an expert of how I sabotage my day-to-day life, or what are my judgments, or how I judge the others or myself. Yeah, that's also there, you know. But it's mostly to really taste intimately the rottenness of this control system, noticing how much takes away from our life day after day. A rotting corpse. And stop biting on it. Just be finished. Say, okay, this is a survival mechanism. Nothing more than that. It's like a pair of shoes. When you get into your house, you keep the shoes out of the door. And when you go out, well, if you are in Sydney like me, or in a place where you can go do that, can do that, you go out without shoes. Or when you need it, you put them on. But they are just a fucking pair of shoes. They don't define us. They don't really limit us. They're only an object. Now, it is a heavy object, I understand that. We are so used to it that, and we are so invested in it that it's difficult to throw it away. Actually, not throw it away is not the right word, but put it on the side. But at the same time, it's not so difficult. It's a question of really being honest with yourself, recognizing, okay, in this moment, this is who I am. This is what I feel. The fundamental basic ground, I tell myself the truth about myself. I don't need to tell it to the whole world. That comes later. But in the beginning, you know, I tell the truth about myself to myself. I this, I feel this, I want this. Good, bad, right, wrong, that's not the point. There is no evaluation. There is simply what is as it is. Then you are free because there is no division. You are not making yourself either or. You are all that you are. And that's where uniqueness with its beauty start, you know, really taking space, you know, taking space. How do you know that beauty is happening? Because you start feeling spacious. There is space inside, there is space around. You start living in a completely different dimension where the objects that are in the space, they're not the important thing. We can see them, we can experience them because they are in space. Space is the most fundamental reality. If you look around yourself in this moment, wherever you are, you can see that your room, the place where you are, probably 90% is just space. And in that space, the objects appear. In that space, you can perceive the limits of your desk or the glass on the table or your physical body. Without space, you would not be able to. So space is our most fundamental experiential reality. When you start moving away from saying, I am my judge, I am my judgment, I am my fear, I am my beauty, I am my anger, and you simply recognize that these are experiences, objects, and you simply say, I am, and I am, and I am, and there is only I am, without definition. The definition comes and goes. I am doesn't go anywhere. I am is here right now. I am is what we are all collectively sharing right in this moment, beyond any definition. The definition separates us, but I am, there is one I am. There is not Avikal's I am or Kadambari I am or Devaprem I am. No, there is just one I am. Amness is all of it, embodied in each one of us. So if you can allow yourself to make that movement many times during the day, come back to, okay, this is my judge, these are the judgments, okay, I'm not that. I am the one who's experiencing them. I am the subject who can feel, who can see, who can recognize. But I'm not the objects, I'm not the identification, I'm not this or that. I am. The more you do that, the more it becomes your natural, like you're breathing. You know, you don't think about it anymore. You simply recognize now that you move through the forms and that you are the subject of all this. Then you are free and you are beautiful. Every single moment. People might not understand you. That's possible. People might be like, what the fuck is going on here? Yes, it's possible. People might get puzzled. Yeah, people might tell you, what? Oh, are you so arrogant? Who you think you are? Yeah, that's possible. So fucking what? Freedom is not in the eyes of the others. Freedom is not in the response of the other. Freedom is you, is your nature. So what really changed for me in all this now is more than nearly 25 years that I've been working with this fucking superego, inner judge, and God. Oh man. When I started, it was like a little thing. And now it's like, no, it's not the mechanism. The mechanism, I know it, I see it, I can recognize it. But the question is freedom and beauty. And then we can also, of course, add truth and love and intelligence and many more things. But freedom and beauty. This is how I recognize on a day-to-day basis, how am I living my life? Do I feel free? Now, free also within constrictions. Freedom is absolute in being, and then it manifests also within constrictions. So because I'm constricted, am I less free? No, we have not. Our freedom cannot be touched. Nobody, nothing can even scratch our freedom, because that's is not our freedom. It's just freedom. So when you look into your control system, change perspective a little bit. Don't get fixated into, oh, I have control system, what do I do with it? This is bad, or this is wrong, this doesn't work well. And don't get fixated on the mechanism. Look into the source of the understanding, into who is aware of all this. Rejoice and enjoy the fact that you can actually see the mechanism working, happening. Be generous with yourself. Okay, so then, yeah, I was supposed to talk about the webinar. So let me get back to the to the webinar. Okay. Well, about 15 years ago, when I wrote my first book. And my first book was called Freedom to Be Yourself, Mastering the Inner Judge. I don't know where it came, that title. I know that I was sleeping in the middle of the night and I woke up and the title was there. And then I got, okay, so I need to do something about this. And I started writing. And that's how guidance works in me. It wakes me up in the middle of the night usually and says, hey, wake up. You got something to take care of. And I just become an instrument. And that title is perfect. The undertitle is Mastering the Inner Judge, but the title is The Freedom to Be Yourself. So the webinar is about understanding the judge, is about becoming intimate with how the mechanism runs in our life. And I use the word intimacy because I want to make it clear that it's not about conflict. It's about inclusion. Intimacy is about coming close. It's not about, oh, this is a mechanism. Now I see how it works. So then I'm in charge. No, that's not the point. The point is this mechanism is also part of who I am. It has also its functions. It serves me to navigate into society up to a certain point. It's not very efficient actually, but it does a little bit of work. And it does it for free. I don't know if you noticed that your judge is completely not paid. He works 24 hours a day and he never strikes and has never asked for for a salary. So the judge is a survival mechanism and it's good to have it there. And in fact, people that have a very not very structured control system, usually they have a very difficult life in society. For example, schizophrenics. Because they don't have that minimum level of trust that they can function. We have it. You have it. I don't know all of you, but if you are here, that means that you have a control system that is pretty functional. And that's good if it doesn't control completely your life. So it's a question of becoming intimate with my control system noticing when I need it, when I don't need it, how to use it, how not to use it, you know, what is mechanical, what is instead a conscious participation and understanding. And then to start exploring who am I and what am I beyond the control system. When the control system is not necessary, it's really about entering the mystery, because one of the fundamental things that the control system does not let us do is living the mystery of this universe, of this incredible reality. And it does that by hypnotizing us that we know what reality is. We don't know what reality is. We have constructed a certain description which is completely owned by our past and by the control system. And we think that that's reality. We believe that that's reality. That has nothing to do with reality. It's just a story. And most of that story is not even our story. It's the story of our parents, of our religion, of our society, and so on. So the moment that we start getting out of this description, out of that story, then we start encountering the mystery. And reality is a mystery with immense beauty. So understanding the mechanism, recognizing the mechanism, and becoming intimate with the mechanism of control, and then going beyond control, transcending the limitation. And that's the journey. That's our journey. And that's a very personal journey. So there is no predetermined path that we can follow. We find out moment to moment. So the spiritual journey is about learning to live in uncertainty. And the control system is about avoiding uncertainty. So you can see, you know, the conflict that we carry inside all the time. Because to be alive means to recognize, I don't know. I don't know who I am in this moment. I don't know what is in this moment. It's a mystery. I am this mystery. I am part of this mystery. I'm fully immersed in this mystery, and I absorb the mystery, and I discover moment to moment. While the control system is exactly the opposite. It says, I know, this is reality, this is the description, and this is how it should be. The two things cannot go together. So I'm sorry, I don't want to shatter your dreams, but if you really think that you can be yourself by holding on to that separation, that description of reality, you're mad, because it's not going to happen. So let me see if there is anything else that I want to share. There are many techniques that can help, and that's also part of the webinar, you know, to really understand that one of the most beautiful gifts that masters have given to and are giving to their students and disciples are techniques. Techniques means that a master found himself or herself through a particular journey, and then they developed techniques. And then the techniques were given to the disciples, and yeah, and there are original to each master. So, for example, you know, Osho is famous worldwide because he invented this technique that is called dynamic meditation, you know, which is a particularly absolutely unique, powerful technique. It's not a meditation, it's only a technique. The meditation happens once that we go beyond the technique. The technique only helps us to create a ground, to create an atmosphere. But then we need to go beyond the technique. And that's where we find meditation. So understanding the control system is not about the control system. It's about all that I recognize as obstacles that belong to the control system. And little by little, I clean up. I recognize I don't need this, I don't need that, I don't need to close myself within these boundaries, within these definitions, and I can allow myself to stay in the purity of I am. And this takes a lot of passion. Passion for yourself. Not passion for the truth, not passion for God, not passion for anything. Passion to really be who you are. That's the journey. Now, we're going to make a lot of mistakes in this journey. And that's wonderful, because mistakes are the way that we can recognize how we move, how we stumble, how we get up, how we fall down. And how we can rise, and how we can grow, and how we can learn, and how we can share, and how we can embody, and how we can include. So don't worry about mistakes. Mistakes are the best part of the journey. Okay, now let me see how we're doing. All right. So I'm gonna take few questions, not many. And Siddhartha, you are in charge of the webinar Freedom to Be Yourself is something that I would love much more to do with you in person, and in the moment is not possible. So I'm doing it in this format, and it's going to start on the 21st. So in a couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, I don't know exactly. And it's going to go on for 4 Sundays. Now, the format is going to be a classic format, you know, in the sense that there is going to be an introduction to a particular topic, a particular aspect and understanding. And then there is going to be some sort of space for questions. And then there's going to be inquiry. And then there's going to be a more introduction to other aspects of the judge, more questions, more inquiry, and some meditation in all this, you know, and specific techniques which might support you in dealing with the inner judge in general, or with specific aspects of the activity of the judge. Once the module is done, within 48 hours, I will put all the materials, which means the video of the meeting, and the question and answers, and some PDFs with inquiry and specific topics on a protected, password protected area in the Integral Being website. And then the participants will have a password and they will be able to access that material for 30 days, and they can watch it there or download it. And then after 30 days will be deleted because probably you're going to start other webinars or other things. Yeah. So this is the idea. And it goes for 4 weeks. So what is 21, 28, and then what, 7 and something. So we go to the middle of July. Now, I know that some of you have already done sometimes some of this work with me, and I really encourage you to do it again, because the judge is something that is so multidimensional, and there are so many ways that we can look at it. And as I said in the beginning, the way we're going to look at it this time is through the lens of freedom and beauty, rather than through the lens of, you know, how can I get rid of this fucking pain in the ass, you know, because that's not the point. Yeah. So let me see if I forgot anything. Yeah. Oh yeah, early birds before the 13th of June. So in 1 week more. So if you want more information, you need to write a mail where you ask for, you express your interest. One day, a few days ago, Siddhartha wrote me a message on WhatsApp and said, what we do with the EOI? I say, what the fuck is EOI? You know, you know, he had to write to me. I'm from another generation, saying expression of interest. I say, oh wow, okay, EOI, like this American habits, you know, to put everything in this. Like, yeah, I mean, it's useful and is also like a little bit absurd, I think. But anyway, so if you have a EOI about the webinar, just write an email to the usual mail address, which is integral.being2020@gmail.com, which is the one you use for getting the link, and express that, and we send you all the information, and then you act or not on that. So much love to all of you, and it's great to see you. And you know, I feel really grateful, and actually more than grateful, blessed that I can share myself. And it's getting stronger and stronger every day, because actually I have an urgency, which I don't think is just my urgency. I feel that there is an urgency on this planet in this moment, in this humanity in this moment, that we all take a jump individually and collectively, a jump out of the past, out of the habits of the past, out of the old paradigms, you know, and we really start exploring completely new dimensions and territories. And this might feel a little bit scary at times, even though I feel, and in a way, actually, I know that we all have plenty of resources and tools to take this jump. And the new thing about this jump is that in the past, for many centuries, this jump was taken individually. And now, possibly for the first time in the history of humanity, we can start taking these jumps collectively. On an evolutionary level, we are at a breaking point. We can jump to a completely new level of evolution, or we can start falling back, which would mean the disappearing of this species. And the signs are good. The signs are good in the sense that there is, and we can see that a lot in sometimes in very young people. There is a level of evolution and understanding that is already so brilliant, is already so embodied, which is actually quite amazing. And Osho, together with other masters, has very clearly opened this door for us, you know, in the last 50, 60 years. Osho, Krishnamurti, and other famous philosopher, Wittgenstein, Ken Wilber, many people, you know, have started opening this level of evolution. And I feel that we are ready. And yet there is an urgency. So don't let yourself fall asleep. And I completely trust that you won't. So my friends, have a good, for me it's going to be the evening. It's dark outside. And for you, I don't know, whatever it's going to be. Much love to all of you. And I see you. Bye-bye. Bye.